Well, hello there. It is, sorry for the slight delay, it is now in England 4:05. I'm not in my office. It's a Sunday. This is not an official broadcast. This is just some thoughts that occurred to me. I'm just going to have a little look. The cameras. And I'm still getting used to this stuff. So what I'm doing is a trial run, because starting on Sunday the 26th of June this month at 9 o'clock PM British summertime, UK GMT, British time basically, at 9 PM in the evening, 2100 hours, I will be running live online in my office, not here, in my office with a background that's not all of my lovely daughter's fancy dress outfits, toys galore. This is basically her kind of playroom. But I'll be doing it from my office, a much more suitable environment, and they will run from 9 o'clock, which is roughly 2100 hours, UK British time, each week for between 45 to 90 minutes in duration. And I'm just going to, if I may, I'm going to, this is all part of the learning curve, I'm going to move that up slightly, and maybe a bit too much. You say your head should come, there should be about a third of the screen above your head. There isn't. There's less, but still, nonetheless. Okay. So, on this Sunday afternoon, thank you for joining me. I hope you're relaxed and chilled wherever you are. If you're watching the replay, enjoy also. If you don't know, my name by birth is Alex William Smith. In the world of hypnosis, NLP and related such things, I've also been known as Alex Leroy in the 90s, and more recently I'm known professionally as Dr. Jonathan Royal. If you need to find out more about me, if you're coming across this video randomly, then go to my normal website of magicalguru.com. That's magicalguru.com. If you want to join us every week, starting from Sunday the 26th of this month, June, I'm just checking the time now so that I know, because apparently you can only do 90 minutes maximum, and also it's a test to see how long the battery lasts on this iPod device. But anyway, okay, this week, or rather today, just to get you in the mood for the future events, incidentally, full details are at the brand new website of hypnosisweek.com. That's www.hypnosisweek.com, spelled HYPNOSISWEEK.com, hypnosisweek.com. Go to that webpage and there is a newsletter box underneath the video at the top of the page. If you put your name and email into that, you'll only get one email, 2 maximum a week, giving you details of what the following week's topic will be and details on how to submit questions, because they're going to be live interactive training sessions. Each week we're going to cover different subject matters, okay? All areas of hypnotherapy will be covered at some point. All areas of stage hypnosis will be covered at some point. Things that will be of relevance to all complementary and alternative medical practitioners and holistic health exponents will also be covered, such as how to get more clients, get more conversions from your website, make more money for less effort, make more profits, create your own products, and all manner of stuff like that. So please do check out hypnosisweek.com, as well as signing up to the newsletter so you know what the next week's subject matter is going to be, okay? And you'll get a reminder that we're going live at 9 o'clock PM, which is 2100 hours British time here in England, each Sunday, starting from, not today, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, which is Sunday the 26th of June. The full details, dates, times, and also a converter that will tell you what time it is in your country, so you can log it into your diary and ensure that you're online on time. So for example, 9 PM, 2100 hours PM in the evening here in England is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in most of America, where there's the 8-hour time difference to us, and is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon for those in Eastern America with a 4-hour time difference. But if you're not sure what your time difference is from England, go to hypnosisweek.com, and there is a world clock time converter that you'll just put in 9 o'clock PM UK is when the event is, and it will tell you exactly what time you need to be online here on Facebook, either on my profile here at facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist, which is facebook.com/ALEXTHEHYPNOTIST. That's facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist. But you can also find a direct link for that on the site hypnosisweek.com, or in my hypnosis training group where we have members from all over the world. It will also be broadcast there, and in that regard the link for that can be found on hypnosisweek.com. In other words, hypnosisweek.com is your portal to everything that is free hypnosis training, because every week starting Sunday the 26th of June 2016 at 9 PM 2100 hours in the evening UK time, I'll be broadcasting for between 45 minutes to 90 minutes from my office, not from here, so it'll be a much more better background and easier for me to teach you stuff. I'm just chilling out on a Sunday, so cheers. And we'll cover a different subject matter each week. Everything from techniques to make you a better hypnotherapist, a faster stage hypnotist, a more successful complementary or alternative therapist or holistic health practitioner, able to get more clients, more customers, charge higher fees, and ultimately make more profit and success. We'll be covering all these things. If you want to know what my pedigree is to be able to share such things with you, well, if you don't already know, I am 41 years of age this August, on August the 13th. I was born into a show business family. At the age of 3 and a bit, I started performing as Flap the Clown on Gandhi's Circus with my show business father, Tizzy the Clown, aka Leslie Roy, who was also known as the Amazing Etna, the world's youngest fire eater and circus yogi. And he did all that freaky stuff like lying on beds of nails, dancing on broken glass, going up ladders of daggers. Oh no, now we've unfrozen. I don't know what happened there, but this is obviously a learning curve for me. That's why I'm doing this. It still says I'm live. It says there's 7 people watching. I haven't got the thing on screen. I haven't got my laptop here. So I'm sorry that I'm not giving anyone a shout out at the moment, because what I'm going to do when I do the weekly broadcast from Sunday the 26th of June is I'll have this recording me, and then I'll have my laptop on my desk in front of me. Okay, so I can see the comments people make underneath the videos, and they'll be how you ask questions, and then I'll be able to answer them. Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't have my laptop in front of me, and I've set the screen, so I've got full screen video, so I can't see any comments, so I really apologise. Okay, bear with me, look, I'm going to share with you some thoughts on why hypnotherapists, psychotherapists, Tibetan mind practitioners, whatever winky-wanky name they choose to call themselves, anyone who practices psychological mind sciences where they purport to hypnotise somebody or put them into an altered state of consciousness or trance, or call it what you will, and then help them improve their life, why all of those people owe a massive debt of gratitude to stage hypnotists. Oh yes they do, I'm coming up to that very, very shortly. So the final time for now, I'll just remind you if you haven't already, go to hypnosisweek.com, HYPNOSISWEEK, hypnosisweek.com, and sign up to the newsletter so that you can submit your questions in advance and find out what the following week's topic is. Also look down the webpage at hypnosisweek.com. There's some free gifts for you there to claim. There's also a Hypnosis Week offer of the week there. Massive, massive discount on something that will make you a far better and more successful hypnotist in all you do. But each week after we've done the broadcast, there'll be a special offer there as well. Massive discounts. This is about you saving money. But you will get 45 to 90 minutes of pure gold content. Okay? It will be training, content you can put into use that will help you become a better hypnotist. Simple as that. Starting Sunday, the 26th of June at 9 PM, which is 2100 hours British time. You can find out what time it is in your country using the time zone clock converter that's on the website, hypnosisweek.com. So I made myself a few quick notes. about 10 minutes before I came live on air today, and it's just so I get the chronological, I think that's the way to pronunciate it, the chronological order correct of these historical bullet points I want to put to you. Which I would say, when you consider them, state a very strong case for why all hypnotherapists, mind practitioners and such like owe a massive debt to comedy stage hypnotists like myself and those in history. And the reason I say those in history is because here's the interesting thing. Let's begin in 1734, okay? In 1734, Franz Anton Mesmer, the grandfather of a thing called Mesmerism, which later became known as Hypnosis, although modern-day mesmerists would argue that it's completely different, but they're either deluded or blatantly lying in order to sell you their own brand of snake oil, because if they were honest with you and said, actually, it works for the same reasons as hypnosis does when it does work, because ultimately it's all about placebo, manipulating beliefs and expectancies, and going through ritualistic processes and stuff, something I'll cover in way more depth actually on Wednesday the 22nd? Yeah, Wednesday the 22nd of June at 7 o'clock PM, 1900 hours, when I will be guesting via live video in Steve Miller, that's the British television personality, presenter of Sky Television's Fat Family Show. He's also a hypnotherapist, and he has a group called Steve Miller's A-Lister Hypnotherapist. If you join that, you'll be able to see me live on Wednesday with a broadcast called There's No Such Thing as Hypnosis, during which I will explain why, with proof, with references you can check out for yourself, logical step-by-step proof that hypnosis does not exist, and that no hypnotherapist or stage hypnotist has ever hypnotised anyone because hypnosis doesn't exist. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Wednesday night, 7 PM on Steve Miller's A-Listers Hypnotherapist group here on Facebook. And then starting on Sunday the 26th of June at 9 PM, 2100 hours, on my own hypnosis group and also on my profile here, facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist. We will be doing 45-minute to 90-minute long hypnosis training sessions with a different subject matter each week. One week will be, treating children with hypnotherapy. One week will be treating phobias. One week will be post-traumatic stress disorder. One week will be OCDs. One week will be rapid inductions. One week will be stage hypnosis. You get the idea. Some weeks we'll cover marketing. Some weeks I'll have a guest with me on my couch in the office or here in Ashley's playroom when she's gone to bed, and I'll interview them and get their expertise for you. We'll share stuff. All of the details, the newsletter to join so you never miss out, the world clock time converter so you can find out what time to put in your diary starting Sunday the 26th of June, can all be found on hypnosisweek.com. So, as I've been on air 10 minutes, I've hopefully got my plugs in there so you know all about hypnosisweek.com. You know about the forthcoming live broadcast every Sunday from 9 PM, 2100 hours UK time. You know that you can find out your own world time zone for that event at hypnosisweek.com. You know there's loads of free goodies to grab. Free hypnosis training manuals, and free secrets of hypnosis success at hypnosisweek.com. You know there's an offer of the week every week on hypnosisweek.com to save you money and help you become a better hypnotist. So let's crack on with why. Hypnotherapists owe a debt of gratitude massively to stage hypnotists. I'm just going to look at this closely. Oh wow everyone, thank you everyone who's watching. As I say, I've not got my laptop here, so unfortunately I can't respond to questions, but when I do the live broadcasts starting from Sunday the 26th via hypnosisweek.com, and when I also do the live broadcast on Wednesday the 22nd in Steve Miller's A-Listers Hypnotherapist group, I will have my laptop there so I can see the questions, and therefore then I can answer them and answer you and interact live from those times. So back to the plot. You see, in 1734, a man called Franz Anton Mesmer was born. He lived until 1815. He is commonly referred to as the grandfather of Mesmerism. As I've already said, mesmerists would say that it's very different than hypnosis. It's not, when the truth be known. It was basically hypnosis. It was pure suggestion, because hypnosis and mesmerism only exist in the mind of the believer. Now, with that said, Franz Anton Mesmer basically was a glorified stage hypnotist who performed street shows. And as a result of that, then got people to pay him money to do his whole ritualistic process with the vats of water, rods, trees, and all manner of different props, while he wore purple flowing robes and looked very much the wizard, mystical character. Okay? But ultimately that's where it all began. And arguably, if you do enough research, he was effectively just a street performer who also cashed in by taking money off people because he quickly realised the power of the placebo effect and harnessing the power of people's imaginations and manipulating their belief systems, and the fact that people want an excuse to remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret for themselves for not having got off their arse and solved their own problems sooner, and that hypnosis or mesmerism is the perfect excuse and reason for them to change, because they can say, oh, I couldn't have done it without the hypnotist or mesmerist helping me, so it perfectly removes from them all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret. I'll go into that more in Steve Miller's Hypnotherapist A-lister group on Wednesday the 22nd of June at 7 p.m, 1900 hours UK time, and also over the week starting Sunday the 26th of June via the hypnosisweek.com weekly Facebook Live broadcast. So, it started with Mesmer, effectively a stage hypnotist. In 1841, a failed French actor via the name of Charles Lafontaine in Paris he was a Parisian. He started there, but then he came to the UK and he performed in vaudeville. He was arguably the first notable stage hypnotist as we know it today, as you look through the historical process. But he also did mesmeric clinics to apparently heal people as well. Now, in 1841, he's very relevant, Charles Lafontaine, because in 1841, Saturday the 13th of November to be precise, James Braid, the Scottish surgeon and clinicician, was in Manchester, England, and he went to the Manchester, I've got it here, Athenaeum, I think I pronounced that right, and he saw Charles Lafontaine do a mesmerism, or as we call it now, stage hypnosis demonstration. He was impressed with it and he studied it, and indeed just a few weeks later James Braid performed his own public demonstration of what he later coined hypnosis, after the Greek word hypnos meaning sleep, although he soon changed the name to monoideism. I pronounced that wrong, but who gives a shit, because he realised there's no sleep involved. He realised it is pure suggestion. It is harnessing the imagination, it is manipulating beliefs and expectancy, but nonetheless the point is James Braid, who is held up there by hypnotherapists as, you know, a name in history, basically started off by copying the stage hypnotist Charles Lafontaine and doing his own public shows. Effectively, he himself became a glorified stage hypnotist, albeit he argued that his public demonstrations were to spread the word of the power of suggestion and how it could be used to help people. Nonetheless, though, he effectively modelled, or as NLP would call it modelling, we call it copying, and that's what it is. He effectively copied, modelled Charles Lafontaine, so modern day hypnotherapy's birth was from Charles Lafontaine, and Mesmer, thus from stage hypnosis, arguably. If you see my point. Then in the 1900s, the next noted, really known name was a gentleman called Dr. Walford Bawdy, also known as the Electrical Wizard, who toured around the world and also, including England, but over the world, with effectively a stage hypnosis show. And yes, there's lots of mention on the internet of him having used stooges and paid actors to play along, but the truth is he also fully understood the power of placebo, the power of the imagination, and people's desire for their 15 minutes of fame, and to have the perfect excuse to volunteer and go up on stage, make an idiot of themselves, and afterwards be able to say, well, I couldn't stop myself. He made me do it. I was hypnotised. Such is the power of authority and placebo, perceived authority figures, and being able to remove all possible blame, shame, guilt and regret from themselves for having made an idiot of themselves because they didn't do it willingly. They were made to do it by the hypnotist. Hence the perception. He also did, basically, manipulation of placebo and made money and success, as well as he shows, with helping people apparently change their lives for the better. He also created a demand and interest in the powers of hypnosis, thus meaning that people then sought out hypnotherapists, which is also an important point for what I'm getting to here. Then in the 1940s, in America, Almond McGill became incredibly well known and successful as a stage hypnotist. Indeed, in 1947, he released the first draft version of the Encyclopedia of Stage Hypnosis, and he's known worldwide, Almond McGill, in hypnotherapy circles, because he's published dozens and dozens of books on hypnotherapy. But I can tell you this, Almond McGill was also a magician, a trickster. And I met him at a Supreme Magic Company, magic convention in England in the 1980s. I was very young. And you know what? He admitted to me directly, stage hypnosis, hypnotherapy, it's all a load of bunkum. It's just giving people an excuse to make an idiot of themselves, or the perfect reason and motivation, focal point for change, a ritualistic process they can believe in, so they can remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret from themselves by going through some important seeming ritualistic process where they can say, I've now been able to change because I got that help, but before I couldn't do it on my own, so don't blame me for not having done it sooner type scenario. I'll go into that more on Steve Miller's A-Listers Hypnotherapist group, or you can read more on hypnosisweek.com, where you can download free of charge the clinical paper that I wrote for the International Journal of Complementary and Alternative Medicine. The PDF is on hypnosisweek.com for you to download, and we'll go into more depth on why hypnosis is merely an excuse for people to remove all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret for themselves in therapy, and also on stage the same thing, whilst also giving them the perfect excuse to be able to say, he made me do it, that's why I did the silly things, it's not my fault. So, Almond McGill actually admitted to me that it's all bunkum. But he wouldn't admit that in print to people. Why? Because then you wouldn't have kept buying his books. He was in the business of selling books full of ritualistic processes and important seeming techniques to hypnotherapists. That's what made him money. So obviously he wasn't going to tell you it was all bunkum. There's a common theme that we'll go through this in a minute. Also in the late 1940s in England, a gentleman by the name of Peter Kassin, who if you search on the internet was the chairman and set up the Federation of the Ethical Stage Hypnotists here in England. But he travelled the world. He was big also in America. He went round the world doing painless operations, research into pain control for hospitals. He did a lot of the hypnotherapy side of things. But you know what? I met Peter Kassin in the 90s. We were on a television show together. And in the green room, he made a snidey comment at me, aside from calling me by my stage name at the time, Alex Leroy, and saying that I was some kind of waste of space and being offensive, because I was going down the controversial stage hypnotist route at the time. I asked him a direct question and I said, well, it's all a lot, but what I said was, it's all a lot of bunk and this stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy anyway, isn't it? And in his very stern, military style, he thought he was always better than you manner, he responded, it may be bunkum and placebo, but it works if they believe it does. That was a very bad impression of Peter Kassin for anyone who did know him, but the point is that direct face-to-face, to me, with no one else listening, he admitted it's bunkum, placebo and a ritualistic process. I'm looking down, by the way, for my notes. Also in the late 1940s, Ralph Slater, incidentally, if I go back to Peter Kassin, in the 1940s in England, if you look, he was filling theatres and music hall venues more rapidly and for weeks at a time. He was more successful than Gracie Fields was during the war. Now, if you don't know who Gracie Fields was, she was one of the biggest stars in England during the wartime. But Peter Kassin was selling out more box office seats than her. That gives you an impression. He was more famous in his time, comparably, than Paul McKenna is today, to put it in perspective. Yeah? So, you know, his stage hypnosis really did make the public aware of the power of hypnosis, as did his vinyl, LPs and singles for stopping smoking, weight loss and all the other stuff that he cashed in on as well. Also in the late 1940s, Ralph Slater, an American stage hypnotist, was very successful, but he also came to England and did some shows, and in fact it's because he did not, allegedly it's because he did not wake somebody up properly at the end of a stage hypnosis show he was doing in, I believe, London, that the woman then complained of that she felt she'd become depressed, and in truth, you know, I won't go into this, I'll do this on one of my hypnosisweek.com video casts on a Sunday evening, but there are genuine reasons why someone could end up feeling depressed and down, because even though hypnosis is bunkum, any process in life, any action, any thought we have, any action we do creates physical changes in the body. And stage hypnosis, if not done correctly, can leave people feeling down and deflated, and with a chemical imbalance that can make them feel genuinely depressed. But that's a subject for another week. For now, the point is, this woman complained after a Ralph Slater hypnosis show, and people started lobbying to ban stage hypnosis. Well, fortunately, Peter Kassin helped ensure that it did not get banned, but instead we did end up with the Hypnotism Act of 1952, which you can research on the internet, or full details are in my book, which you can download for free from hypnosisweek.com. So we got the Hypnotism Act of 1952, which was meant to make things safer, but that's a story for a different time. Now, during this time period also, we had Milton Erickson, a name that is famous in hypnotherapy circles, and he's held up as some kind of god or idol. Well, let me tell you, it was essentially a second-rate stage hypnotist. If you do enough research, you find that sometimes it took him hours and hours to hypnotise people, because he was essentially crap at what he did. Slightly controversial, but it's backed up if you do the research with your eyes wide open. A book I recommend, I've got notes here, is called Beyond Erickson, A Fresh Look at the Emperor of Hypnosis by Alexander. That's A-L-E-X, first name, Alex, and second name, Zander, T-S-A-N-D-E-R. If you can get a copy of that was published on the 30th of June 2005, and then double check the evidence and dates that are in it, you'll see for yourself Erickson was actually pretty crap hypnotist. He was a wannabe stage hypnotist who failed effectively. By that I mean he did lots of public demos, he courted the media. Yes, it helped hypnotherapy, but basically it was a bit shit, deep down. Sorry if that upsets anyone, but it's true. There were far quicker, more effective ways of getting the same end result. And, you know, people like Peter Kassin, Ralph Slater, Almond McGill were getting the same kind of results more quicker just by basically hypnotising people, telling them to change, commanding them to change, and getting those changes. They fully understood how to manipulate the psychological situation and the physical environment to fully stimulate and manipulate the individual's beliefs, expectancies and perceptions of what was going on to such a level that change could occur and did occur that quickly and rapidly. But more on that in my books that you can get at hypnosisweek.com and in the weekly live broadcast starting Sunday the 26th of June from 9 PM. Again, look at hypnosisweek.com. So, then in the 1970s, an Australian gentleman by the name of Martin St. James came to England. He was famous, he was doing well in other areas of the world already, but he came to England and he became massive here as well. In fact, to this day, somewhere in Yorkshire, there's still somebody running a Martin St. James hypnotherapy clinic. Now, at one time, Martin St. James had loads of these because he realised the power of the placebo and people going through a ritual, as long as they believed in the authority figure and such like, and they paid enough money to value it and perceive it as being worthwhile. And he set up clinics where basically people would go in and listen to audio recordings of him, and he'd have loads of people in different rooms at the same time getting treated. So he could treat loads of people and make maximum amount of money, and he kind of franchised it out. and then in later years he did it by way of video recordings. Absolute genius, made a fortune doing it. He proved beyond any doubt that the placebo is powerful, that people just essentially want an excuse, a motivation to change, and a focal point where they can go, you know, that's my reason not to have to, you know, it removes all self-blame, shame, guilt and regret for them, and it goes into all the things that I mentioned in my clinical paper that is free to download at hypnosisweek.com. So he came to England, and interestingly, he was on a lot of television shows as well, one including Morgan. And the story goes, as I was told it by a gentleman called Delavar, whose name will come up later, that Delavar actually was backstage at the Wogan show and had to hypnotise the people for Martin St James before they went on air, because although Martin became incredibly famous and undeniably became one of the most successful exponents of stage hypnosis that's ever lived, in the early days apparently he was a bit hit and miss, so the stories go that I've been told, and during some of his UK TV appearances he had Delavar backstage to hypnotise them. That's the story that I got told. There you go. Anyway, it's irrelevant. Let's continue. So in the 70s also, I'm using England as an example, but there's examples of this all around the world. England's quite important though, given that James Braid was born in Scotland and moved to Manchester in England, and you know, he developed the word hypnosis, kind of why I'm focusing on England a bit. So in the 70s, a gentleman by the name of Robert Halpin, he was a Scottish gentleman, started appearing at various venues, including the Pavilion Theatre in Glasgow, which later a gentleman called Andrew Newton, whose name will come up later, started performing at, and then after that Peter Powers did, who still does to this day. But initially the real name was Robert Halpin, who made it at Glasgow Pavilion Theatre, until a lady named Anne Hazard walked off stage and broke her leg, and the venue paid £20,000 or more in damages to her, and that brought his shows to an end at the venue because she'd asked to go to the toilet, and he said, hurry up, get there as quickly as you can, and she allegedly took it literally and just walked off the edge of the stage. There are genuine dangers of hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis, and they are ones that I will cover on future podcasts, future Facebook live videos that we'll do running from Sunday the 26th. That's per hypnosisweek.com. So as I say, after Robert Halpin's fame, in the 80s, it became Andrew Newton. Andrew Newton was born in New Zealand, moved to England when he was young, became well known in England, in the theatres and on television, and then also he became famous on television in New Zealand, Australia and other places in the world. In the very early 1990s, we started to hear of a person called Paul McKenna. Now, here's the thing. In 1993, 2 different television shows were broadcast, made by different ITV networks. One network made a programme called The Andrew Newton Hypnotic Experience, and one network made The Hypnotic World of Paul McKenna, television pilot shows. The Andrew Newton Hypnotic Experience was broadcast on ITV in just some areas of England. I think it was just the London weekend television area, on a bank holiday weekend, as best as I recall. And then later in that year, a pilot for The Hypnotic World of Paul McKenna broadcast on a more national scale on the ITV network. And ultimately, the company that were going to have Andrew Newton front what would have been the first ever British hypnosis TV series, and one of the first ever in the world, ownership things took place, and ultimately the companies that were linked to and already involved with the radio station that Paul McKenna was a DJ on became shareholders and stuff, and ultimately Paul McKenna, by a strange quirk of luck and by not what you know but who you know, actually got the television series that should have shot Andrew Newton to fame. Andrew Newton incidentally being a person who says that he taught Paul McKenna originally. He blatantly says, Andrew Newton, the man who taught Paul McKenna. Well, hey, you know what? On a side note, I taught Andrew Newton how to do bloody training seminars, because the first one he did for hypnotherapists was so boring, people walked out of it and asked for refunds. I know, because I was the promoter. And, you know, after that, he then watched my No Such Thing as Hypnosis DVDs, and he copied pretty much the order of the suggestibility test and the inductions, and then taught the techniques in his book, the exact same order. And the Andrew Newton induction technique he teaches in his book and at his seminars is actually stolen from the late and great Tom Bolton, creator of Freeway CER. And Tom Bolton and his lovely wife, Beverly Anderson, were at a weekend event where one day they were teaching and the other day Andrew Newton was teaching. I was the promoter of it, and Andrew saw them do their 60-second calm induction, said it was brilliant, and next thing you know, he'd invented the Andrew Newton 60-second induction. Well, if you want to know more about that, go to magicalguru.com, go to my Royals resume and look at the information on there. It's very eye-opening indeed. Indeed, if you, go on there. And then click on The Truth About Jonathan Royle. Link on that page and you'll find out all the truth behind the rumours and the negative bullshit that people spread about me on the internet. Anyway, back to the plot, because apparently I've got a limited time period for Facebook Live broadcast.